just want to make sure on Zillow, when you look at Zillow, I just kind of cut paste a little bit. So I'm sure, is there anyone here who did not look at Zillow ever? Okay. You did not? Never? Okay. You know what Zillow is?
No.
Okay. So I just assume Zillow is a website. You will see, you put an address and you get the, almost always truly are the same thing, the property details, maybe some history of the property. I'm sorry, history being sales history, but it also gives you, you can see here. So it gives you obviously this one is for sale, so it will either give you just for sale if it is listed for sale, or it will give you what's called the Zestimate, what's the value is. It started putting rent Zestimates, which are pretty good as much as I can say. So that's rather a new thing. Sometimes they're up here, but they're definitely down here. Okay. What I like to make sure we all see on Zillow is a couple of things, or Trulia, that the Zestimate. Just go down and scroll and see the range. So just I always like to look at the range, because sometimes if the property, is offered, it says it's that someone tells me it's in better value, and I want to see how it correlates with the range Zillow gives. It's just kind of to have a feel, not more than that.
How does it work, the range? It's a certain standard deviation they're using?
So how do they both work? As much as I can tell, I don't know for a fact, but as much as I know. So let's say Zillow, they do comparable. They pull up, let's say, 10 other listings in the area, both for rent and for sale. They do price per square footage average, and then multiplied by the square footage of this house. Same thing for rent and for value.
But also the range itself? So what does
So,
it mean?
so the range, they're probably using somewhat of a safety mechanism to make sure they're not liable to any mistake. That's saying, okay, let's do that plus minus 20% or whatever that is. I don't know what they are using for mathematical answer, but they're probably using something like that.
And they don't get any updates on remodeling that were done to the house, even if
It's a smart but stupid system. It's a very comfortable, but it has no knowledge of, there's no way for the agent to put in this house is actually on the higher range, on the lower range.
No, but like if the house was increased, somebody built more square feet added, so they don't get this information.
So the information is pulled from the county records. If the county records are updated, okay, it should go here. If and if, okay. So there's two fail points. So just so you understand, if it's updated, it should be up here. So just so we understand. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, it's interesting. I saw houses that I know that they were remodeled with, formal approvals and everything, but they're not showing up.
Yeah, exactly. So now, what you don't see here, but over here, there's it's not here. There's a little button, so more facts. We're gonna get around to it. The more facts I use just mostly to pull up, and you will see why the parcel ID for the property, which is also pulled from the from the county records. Okay. So let's next thing we're going to do is we're gonna dive into the property analysis. The goals for the analysis, from my standpoint, is assuming everybody here will work, or probably most likely will work with an agent. So I like to use the analysis to double check on the information I'm giving. So that's called data verification. It helps me when I do an analysis. It makes the process of analyzing makes me learn more about the area, get to know the area a little bit better. That means I get to feel a little bit more comfortable or uncomfortable, okay, which is good too. Would probably bring up some more questions I can find answer for, so I can write those questions, and I have an agent to take those questions to, or property manager, and say, okay, I couldn't find this information, or this information is missing. It's definitely a decision-making process, and on the top of everything, what I like to do in the analysis process is look for the red flags. Okay, and we'll We'll see that in a second. So I'm going to use all of those things. We're going to do an actual analysis. I'm going to use whatever you see here to analyze a property and to get the information, and we'll do it step by step by step. And for that, let's get started. That's the tough part. Okay, step number one. You see okay? Okay, I will increase that. So this is my analysis Excel, which I'll be happy to share with all of you. If you have not seen it, that's normally how you see properties on my website. Everything in this color, it's an input field. So the first thing I want to do is, first of all, this is how similarly I would get the information from an agent or from the MLS or from anywhere. So and consider this is not going to look exactly like this. I copy pasted it. It's going to look like even a more kind of simpler. But this is an MLS copy paste. Okay, it's a report. It tells us a photo and probably maybe photos of the property, information about the neighborhood, the property itself. All right. So let's start building the report. We are now analyzing the property. We received the MLS report. This is the MLS report lookalike. We did the Excel. Okay. Now we're gonna start double checking data. So we're gonna go to Zillow. We're just gonna double check the data. That's the only thing I'm doing with Zillow, and picking up some pointers.
So you double check the MLS report?
Yes. I just want to make sure because sometimes things get missed. Zillow. All right. So this is not live Zillow, but saved, just so we don't have issues here. Same property. I'm just double checking the information. Like I said earlier, if we scroll down, we can see what the range is, what the rent estimate is. Okay, rent estimate here. Sometimes we would have past transactions or tax history of the property, so we can see what the property taxes here. Remember, we needed it for the Excel. So in the Excel, the MLS would most likely provide this to us. Here it is, 1615.2. By the way, Zillow tells us 2011, it's 1215. So obviously there are some differences here. So you wanna, thank you. You wanna kind of take the either more conservative one or the most recent one.
Even though it's not, isn't it regulated that it's a certain percentage of the price you pay, and that's it?
So property taxes are normally a percent. Normally, sometimes calculated a little bit differently than a direct percent, but a percentage of the property value. So what is the property value?
Oh,
So what is the county think the property value is?
So it's not necessarily the paid.
So most likely in today's market, because we are buying the property, the county values the properties probably higher than what you are paying for it. That would be a very typical, because we are in a way in a declining market, so they have it at higher records, and we're buying it at 100,000. So let's say they have it at 130 and we're buying it at 100. So the first year it will probably be at the value of last year, 130. So we will pay more. Next year it should automatically, I'm saying should automatically, reflect the new purchase price because they have the record. But it's your responsibility to double check that they are assessed at lower, and now you're paying less property taxes in year number 2. So the second year you're owning this. If they don't, what do? You challenge them. Okay, you send a letter with some example. You send a letter, say here's how much you pay for it. So here's the true market value. And normally they agree they do it automatically. They know the marketplace. I try to assess to fight them in appreciating market. Wasn't always successful, but it's something you would probably want to pay attention to later on. So that means our cash flow should actually be improved a little bit by several $100s a year because, or not the cash flow, the expenses, because the property taxes will be lower, okay? In most states out there that the property, values are so cheap, unlike here, they would probably go once a year and assess the value of the property. You can always challenge it, so if they come back at year number 3 and saying it's worth 150, you can always challenge it, and you need to bring some supporting documentation why it's not 150 but 105, okay? So
And the assessors are, because they're public employees, they're very good at telling you what the process
Right.
is to challenge that. So it's not like it's a secret that you have to figure out how to get.
Okay.
The phone.
So, just to make sure, I picked the information either from here, this is the MLS report, from Zillow, if it gives it to me, and we'll go in a second to the county records and we'll see the actual records too. So I'm going step by step. I did the MLS report, Excel I've done, Zillow I looked at, I just compared. Finest experts. Why am I using finest experts? Let's just take a moment and we talked about the market. The team that we would normally have in this step would be an agent and a property manager and maybe myself. Identify the property. What we're going to do now is going to dive into the offer. The acquisition phase is actually, we've analyzed the property, we've decided on the property, we took all those steps to verify the data. Now let's talk about the acquisition phase, okay? And that's, again, a bit of a tricky process by its own. So first of all, before we look at the documents and the one-by-one documents that are involved, what I want to say is, remember that every market behaves differently. So we have laws that are different. California is different than Arizona law-wise, which is different than Texas and other states, of course. So the documents are going to be state-based, and the laws are state-based. The real estate laws are state and not federal, identical to all states. When you work with an agent, just gonna make sure you know what the market conditions are. For example, Phoenix, very typical to have multiple offers on good properties. In Dallas, maybe multiple offers, but not as much, not as hectic as Phoenix is. So just to give you two types of markets that behave differently, the culture. Now, there's a lot of things when you make an offer that are not necessarily written by any law or regulation. They're just acceptable in the marketplace. Let me give